Hey guys, it's Rose, and today I wanted to do a review on a book that I recently read, and that book is called It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. And basically, this book is a book about depression and mental health, mental illness, but it is not a depressing book. That is one of the first things that I want to put out there. The book is about depression, but it's not a depressing book. Now, I've read plenty of depressing kind of like downers of books, and I don't want to throw out any names of those, but some books about depression are really just like a drag. And they end up being a good story and a good book, but they really do kind of like pull you under, you know? This is not one of those books. That's why I'm glad the title is what it is. It's called It's Kind of a Funny Story, and it really is kind of a funny story. I mean, it's not a funny thing that the kid, the main character has depression. By all means, mental illness is not a funny story at all. I mean, but the book itself, the story around the book, the way the story is told is kind of a funny story. So, this is going to be a non-spoiler book. If you guys are interested in the future, my future reviews having spoiler and non-spoiler, let me know down below. So, this book is, I'm going to take you through sort of the very beginning about the book. And this is non-spoiler. It's all basically stuff that is contained in the synopsis of the book. So, I really, really enjoyed this book. The book is, it's an eye-opener. If you don't know too much about mental illness, it really is an eye-opener. And it also kind of puts you in a situation where you can think of certain people with different mental illnesses and just that are going through different situations. It kind of makes you think of like what they could have gone through that put them there and why they're going through, you know what I mean? So it's deep, but it's light at the same time. So this book is about this kid. I feel like I've been jogging around this place or something. So, I just took my inhaler. That could be it. So, the book is about this kid named Craig. In the present of the book, in the present time of the book, he is 15. The book starts you off when he's in 8th grade, and he's taken the whole year of 8th grade to study nonstop. 24 practically 24/7 with his index cards and these booklets that he has, because he wants to test into this school called executive pre-professional. He wants to get into this really good school, and this is the school. It's in Manhattan, and he really wants to get in. And it's a really, he's the type of kid who he's like thinking way, way, way ahead. He's thinking, I want to go to a good high school, so I go to a good college, so I could get a good job, so I get a good wife, so I can have good kids, so my kids could have good, it's like he's like really overthinking it for like a 13 or 14-year-old at the time. So, he ends up studying nonstop for, like I said, the whole school year. His friend Aaron, he wants to test in to get into the school as well, but the funny thing is, he says, Craig asks his friend Aaron, aren't you studying? Aren't you going to study? And he's like, dude, I don't need to study. And he's like, what do you mean you don't need to study? So basically he's telling him, oh, I'm going to wing it. He's going to wing this test. So he ends up, they both take the test. They both pass the test. They both get into executive pre-professional. And once they get into executive pre-professional, this is one of the things that Craig wasn't really, he had no idea like what it was going to be like. He was basically so caught up into studying and really about, for him it was about testing into the school. In my eyes, I'm thinking he probably didn't think he would even get in, because he was just so like, into getting into the school that I don't think it really dawned on him that he would have a ton of work and it would be super, super hard while he was at the school. It wasn't going to be like, okay, you're going to stop studying, that's all. So he ends up getting super overwhelmed. Everything is just like, it's a lot for him, and and then he notices his friends and all that from the same school are doing just fine, and they're doing just fine, and they're studying, and they don't you know, but for him it's like unbearable. Like he just can't take it, and he ends up becoming more and more depressed. He ends up becoming suicidal. One night he nearly kills himself and ends up uh, getting himself into a psychiatric hospital. So once he's in the psychiatric hospital, this is where I don't want to get into too much, but he's in there basically to see if he could solve his stuff, you know, get his stuff together. And that's where he meets a bunch of characters that are just like really cool. They all have mental illnesses, but the really cool thing about it is that you really get different perspectives of different people. And not only, they're not all in his age range. That's what I really like about this book. So basically, Craig goes in to this mental health facility, but he, instead of going into the youth section of the psychiatric hospital, that section of the hospital is in renovation. So he ends up needing, having to go into the adult section. So he's there with a bunch of other adults. There are some teenagers around his age, but most of them are adults. And it's just, I love the way the story is told, and I love the way the characters blend together, and the way it's just, it's a really good story. So again, it's called It's Kind of a Funny Story because it does get really funny at some parts. Some parts you're just like cracking up and you're like, really? This is about depression? But then, you know, then it kicks in and he gets a little, you know, he has a little depressing moment. But like I'll mention, the first couple pages are a little depressing, like a little downer, you know, a little bit of a downer. But once he gets into that place, you know, it all kind of lightens up, and it's a really good book. So if you guys are into anything that I have just mentioned, or any kind of books like that, I would definitely, you know, pick it up, read it, see if you like it, and yeah, that's pretty much that, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.